All right, well, hello and welcome. My name is Calvin Starr, and I'm the founder and CEO of Living to Be. You're listening to the Living to Be Monday Inspiration Call. My name is Calvin Starr, and I am so excited that you're here. Just thank you so much for dialing in today. Our mission with Living to Be is to spread hope, helping others prosper eternally and inspire total fulfillment in the lives of others. As a company and as individuals, everything we do is to inspire others to live with integrity through finding their own sense of truth and purpose, knowing that every decision, intention, and action matters because of the people they affect. Today, our talk is on eliminating overwhelm. And this is something I think a lot of us are dealing with more and more each day just because of the dynamics of the environment that we're living in and that we're being, having to kind of get through in our lives. And we have so many things coming at us. With technology today, the challenge is really just kind of being able to filter out all of the unnecessary, things that are coming at us every single day. And so what I'm recognizing, especially in myself and other people that I work with, is that there's this incredible amount of overwhelm that we experience. And you sit there and you have to ask yourself these questions of like, where's all this overwhelm coming from? Because while life hasn't changed that much, the way that we look at life, the way that life is being projected onto us or sent to us is changing because of the technology. It's kind of like it's fascinating when we're looking at things in our lives and we're recognizing that so many things, so many pieces of information are coming at us every single day. We have to figure out a way to filter this out, to be able to only let in what's important and kind of filter out the things that are not as important to us. And in order to do this, you really have to have mindfulness. You have to be able to really understand that all this information, whether it be the emails, the text messages, the Facebook notifications, the Snapchat, Instagram, all of these different ways that we communicate with each other now have really eliminated the form of this idea of connection when it comes to communication, but we're being bombarded with information. And I've been, over the last 20 plus years, I've been into personal development, and I've coached people, I've trained with people, I've consulted with companies and other people. And what's changed is the ability to be able to say no. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed, I love a few people's take on overwhelm. One of them is Abraham, and if you follow Abraham and you understand, information is just information. But the idea of overwhelm that they share is that this idea that you've asked for something in your life, and it's coming at you so fast that you become overwhelmed with all the things that you need to do. And what I've taken from that is that the biggest challenge is that our egos get in the way. Our egos get in the way because what happens is you start to recognize the things in our lives that we want to accomplish, and you could create a to-do list that would be so incredibly overwhelming because of all the little things that you have to do these days to be able to keep track of information and be able to keep track of the things that you do, the follow-ups, all these different things. And it begins to overwhelm you because overwhelm is actually a really good thing. It's helping you identify that there is something that you desire, something that you want, and it hasn't quite come to you yet, okay? And that's where a lot of the ego comes in, because we as people, and everybody has one, I laugh a little bit when I talk about ego, because I remember when I was younger in my 20s, somebody asked me, well, do you have an ego? Or they made a comment to me about my ego, and I said, I don't have an ego. I was so full of myself that I actually said that I didn't have an ego, not recognizing that the only way that you can have an ego is not to be here on this planet. You have to have an ego in order to identify with yourself. You have to have an ego in order to be able to even sustain life itself, because that's what causes us our ability to be separate from each other, is having that ego. In Latin, because I took 4 semesters of Latin in college, it's the I am ego. It is who you are. And so when we identify ourselves, because we've been taught to identify ourselves with certain terms, like, well, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a father, I'm a mother, I'm a son, I'm a daughter. All these different things are things that identify us within our own egos. And as we kind of want more in life, because I think as we've received more communication, more information, more of the ability to see what is out there and available to us, I think that our egos become overwhelmed with wanting so much. And through that process, it actually can hurt us quite a bit, because it's really taking this idea of there's so much out there to be a part of that we want to do it all. In network marketing, we've all seen those people that they jump from opportunity to opportunity to opportunity to opportunity to opportunity, because it's always the next best thing. And I learned years ago that if you want to create success in something, whether it be network marketing, whether it be, being a parent or being a business owner or being an entrepreneur, you have to focus on one thing and you have to master that thing. And if you study anything about mastery and becoming an entrepreneur or being, successful, having a successful mindset, you understand that in order to master something, they say that it's a minimum of 10,000 hours that you have to put into it. But what happens is because we have so much information coming at us with YouTube and, like I said, Facebook and, all the events, the biggest one that I've seen recently is Tony Robbins and his partner, Dean. I won't even try to pronounce his last name, but, they had like 250,000 people tune into their webinar, and they're selling this information about how to take your expertise, so to speak, or your life experience. And they're now wanting to tell you that you can go out and create this amazing business and have the most amazing life. And while I do believe that, I also believe and know that, what they're selling is information. And the way that, most people get overwhelmed is they have access to too much information, which is one of the reasons why we do the Living to Be Fit program in a very small amount each and every day. Because if you just give somebody all the information at once, if I said to people, hey, here's your 90 days to be living to be fit, it would overwhelm people, right? It would literally, they would be like, even though it would be numbered day by day by day, just seeing that amount of information is actually overwhelming to most people, because like I mentioned before, we want so many things right now that, and we've become conditioned to this in society, to where I call it a fast food society, where we want everything right away, because we're used to just saying, well, I want this, and then boom, manifestation. Like, I would love to take my kids and actually take them to a resort that would be based upon just the 80s, right? Where it had VCRs and phones with cords that were attached to walls so you couldn't leave, and you actually had to be there to get a phone call. They didn't have text messages. They didn't have, Siri to be able to translate. You had to actually learn how to type. And so, we have been, we're put in this place where all of this information is coming at us such a fast pace that we become overwhelmed with all the choices and options and opportunities and desires that we end up just basically freezing and shutting down. And so what I'm beginning to really get and understand, while all of this information has its purpose, it can't have a purpose if it's something that you think that you should know right away. So what do I mean by that? Well, like I was mentioning before about one of our programs, Living to Be Fit, like that little bit of microdosing every single day, giving people a little bit of information every single day, is something that allows them to be able to have the experience in small chunks. Because even for myself, having run several successful different network marketing companies and being part of large affiliations or organizations, if you don't take the information bit by bit and chunk it down and create a to-do list or something like, Robin Sharma was a really great example when he said, take the first hour of your day and really plan it out. He goes, because if you don't plan it out, you're going to get distracted for the rest of the day and you're just going to end up wasting days. And I think that's what most people do. I've been in a lot of these groups that purchase these high-end programs because I've bought them myself because I love the information. But what I recognize in all of their feedback and all of their, people posting different things is that there's a sense of overwhelm with the information. And so if you want to accomplish something, let's say that you want to get healthy, you do have to take it day by day. You can't just assume that because you're unhealthy now, that it has taken years, if not decades, to put you where you are, whether you're overweight, whether you're just sick, you're imbalanced in your life, You can't just take that information and in a heartbeat just go, okay, I'm better. And so what you have to do is you have to take the information, you have to break that pattern, you have to break that paradigm that you've created for yourself. Because if you don't, and you think that you should be somewhere that you are not, then you're going to ultimately create overwhelm, which is why some of the people actually quit programs. Like we've had people quit the Living to Be Fit program because they get overwhelmed with wanting that result at the end of the program. They're not patient enough to actually achieve the result. So they just end up giving up because it's too overwhelming for them. And so what I want to be able to do today is to give you ways that you can actually, you can eliminate overwhelm in your life. And it's going to be one of the most difficult things that you do because it won't make sense to you. Because as we're caught in this overwhelm, what happens is that we want to immediately start doing more. We think that we're overwhelmed because we're not doing enough, right? And so what you have to do is you actually have to separate yourself from that experience, that overwhelm experience, and separate yourself from it and realize that you are not that overwhelmed, okay? The overwhelm is actually contained in the space that you are. So you're not actually overwhelmed. You're just in the experience of the overwhelm. It's kind of like this example, the ocean. You can be caught up in whitewash. It doesn't mean that the world is caught up in this whitewash and that you're being bounced around and thrown around in the waves. It just means that you're in it. In order to get yourself out of it, you have to remove yourself from the whitewash and put yourself on shore. And then you can actually observe where you were, right? So when you're in overwhelm and you're feeling overwhelmed, the absolute best thing that you could do is just to sit there and allow yourself to not do anything, to literally force yourself and remove yourself from that experience. The only way that you can do it is just to stop doing anything and just be with yourself, be with your thoughts, be with the idea of who you are, and kind of walk yourself through mentally and just maybe even jotting down some things. One of the best exercises that I was able to ever accomplish in my life was recognizing that all these thoughts that were in my head that were causing me overwhelm, all of these ideas that I had, all of these action steps that I had were just things that I needed to get out of my head so that they would stop bouncing around. So I would keep this journal. I would create a folder on my computer, or I would send myself emails and create like a document of all the ideas that I had, knowing that if I ever needed to and had the time to be able to go into something, that I could go back to that document and actually pull some ideas out of there and start working on those. But in order to be able to do that, you have to start that process of kind of separating yourself, which is one of the reasons why I really work with people on meditation and telling people to just be. I remember recently, I think Alexis actually shared that one day she reached out to me. She's like, I want to start, mentoring with you and talking to you every day. And I said, great. In order to do that, you need to sit with yourself for 10 days straight and just be with your thoughts for at least an hour a day. Like meditate for 10 days straight, an hour a day, and just kind of be with yourself. Because I knew that that was the only way to be able to get through and actually allow somebody the space to be able to work with them, right? And what happens is a lot of times is when people do that, they actually figure out the solution for themselves, which is ultimately my goal. I don't want to be a guru. I totally got it when Tony Robbins came out with that movie on Netflix called I'm Not Your Guru. Because when you start to give people answers and you become the answer person for them, then all of a sudden people start coming to you all the time. And then next thing you know, you're out there just basically responding to people rather than living your own life. And you're just, because everybody's expecting you to resolve their issues for them. And so what happens is when we teach other people to go within and to separate themselves from this overwhelm, what happens is they become the solution. And that's part of the process of the Living to Be Fit program. You see, you're bombarded, well, most people are bombarded by all of the products, oh, take this pill and you'll lose, the weight that you want, or take this drink and you'll drink this and you'll be able to live a life of complete ecstasy and happiness, or start eating this fad diet and you'll lose all the weight. And all of that stuff is just like, it's not making them the ultimate solution in their life. So what we do with the program is we actually tell people, we're going to teach you how to become the resource. And the only way that you can do that is to create the mindfulness, to create that what do they call it? I want to call it silence, but it's actually like a stillness in your own mind about some of the choices that you're making in your life. And so if you want to eliminate overwhelm in your life, think about it. What are you overwhelmed with? Think about this too. I was watching it. Christina and I and Lila were out having dinner. We just decided to have dinner at Whole Foods last night. And we were sitting there and we watched this mother sit down with her son, who happened to be 3, because we ended up talking with her. But there was this amazing sense of overwhelm with her, where she was just so distracted and so frustrated because of all the little things that were going on with her son. Because they had gone out to dinner, you could tell she had come from a place where they had probably had dinner, but yet she was there by herself at Whole Foods feeding her son macaroni and cheese. And we started talking a little bit and found out that, yeah, they had gone to dinner that night, but he didn't want to eat there. And so instead, when they got home, he was hungry for macaroni and cheese. They didn't have any, so they had to come to Whole Foods to get it, right? But it was just this amount of overwhelm, because it was that, we have these plans for ourselves. We have this idea of what it is that we want to accomplish, what we want to have happen on a day like Mother's Day. And then life happens. And that's where I love where overwhelm comes in the most. If you're experiencing overwhelm, that means that you're living life. That means that it's an exciting time, because there's things that you want to accomplish that are not coming to you as you've expected. And so if you've expected them to happen and they're not happening in the time frame that you want, then what you need to realize is that that's okay. And all you need to do is step back. Because I was giving this example to somebody earlier where I was saying, you can't rush a pregnancy, right? Gestation of an animal or a human being or any type of animal takes time. Like an elephant, it's 18 months. For a human being, it's 9 months. You can't rush it. And it's fascinating to me how we want to rush things now that just take time. They take, a good amount of time. Like even building your business. Building your business takes time to develop relationships, to develop, testimonials, to develop content, to develop material. But most importantly, it takes time to develop relationships. And so as affiliates of network marketing or in any business, because if you're on this call, you're probably in business for yourself. If you're watching this call, you're probably in business for yourself. And what happens is that, you get overwhelmed with this idea of what you need to do and what you need to accomplish, because you've got bills to pay, you've got product to move, you've got, material that you want to create. And all of these different things are coming at you, causing you to have overwhelm, because you know what you want, you know what you're expecting, but it's not happening the way that you want it to or the way that you think it should. And that, my friends, will cause you an incredible amount of overwhelm. And here's and I'm going to put this in a correlation. I'm going to try and paint a picture for you really quick that kind of lines this up. Okay. Back in the day, because I haven't seen a doctor in probably 20 years, or probably even longer than that. And some people think about that and they go, yeah, that's normal. Other people go, how could you not see a doctor? And I don't take medications a lot. Sometimes I will, like I'll take an Advil or an aspirin or something like that if I have a headache. But if I get sick, I won't go to a doctor. The only time I've been to a doctor in the last 10, 15, 20 years has been because of strep throat, which I sat for 9 days, okay? 9 days I sat with swallowing razor blades in my mouth. I felt like razor blades. If you've ever had strep throat, you understand this. And after 9 days, I was done. Okay, I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to the MD now, which is like the little emergency clinic. I'm going to go get some medication for this, because I tried everything I could. I drank the water. I did everything I could to sit this out, but I couldn't do it any longer. 9 days, I swallowed razor blades, and I went there and they gave me medicine. They gave me some steroids, and it cleaned it up within a few days, and I was fine. And so. But what I learned was, a little bit of a side story, but what I learned was in all health, right, in all sickness, if you get the flu, if you get sick, if you get the cold, if you get anything, it doesn't matter if you take medication or not. You're going to experience the same amount of time being sick that you would if you took the medication. The only thing that medication does is it actually may benefit you a little bit by giving you a little bit of relief in your symptoms. But ultimately, the sickness takes the same amount of time. And so in business and everything else, everything takes a specific amount of time. We all want to rush through it. We all want to get to that promised land before it's time. And the truth of it is that everything has a gestation period. Everything has a specific amount of time that it takes to be able to create. Now, when it comes to business, this is the most difficult thing, and this is something that we actually share in Living to Be Fit too. You can't look at somebody else and look at their results and think, well, why haven't I gotten their results? Why haven't I been able to accomplish the things that they've accomplished in such a short amount of time? And there's a couple of reasons for that, which is, again, this is an opportunity to help you with the overwhelm. If you're feeling overwhelmed because you need to create success in your life, you need to lose weight right now, you need to do the things that you think you need to do right now, there is a gestation period. And in business, there's two factors involved. Number one, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You don't recognize what people are doing on the inside or in their daily lives if you just are watching their posting about their results and their success. You don't know what it took for them to get to that point. You don't know how many phone calls it took, how many text messages it took, how many emails it took, all of these different things that it takes to cultivate and build relationships and excitement for people. And so, to look at them and go, well, they've created their success and it looks like it happened overnight, right? And all of a sudden, you start to feel overwhelmed because you're thinking, oh, I must be doing something wrong. I must not be doing it right. And so I need to do this differently. And I'm here to tell you, stop comparing yourself to other people. Like in our FIT program, people, all of a sudden they hit a period and they start losing weight incredibly fast. And some people struggle a little bit and they start to judge themselves. They start to look at other people and go, well, why am I not losing weight like that? Am I doing something wrong? And they start to beat themselves up. And then when you start to beat yourself up and you think you're not doing enough, that's when you create overwhelm for yourself. And I promise you this, overwhelm, it serves a purpose ultimately, because I think it's there to bring awareness to something that you need to let go of, that you need to surrender to. But ultimately, overwhelm is just creating more of an underlying issue for you of, thinking that you need to do something. And so what I've conditioned myself to do and really trained myself to do is that when I start to feel overwhelmed, I'll literally step away, because I realize that there's something there that's coming to the surface for me. It's trying to emerge in my life that's allowing me to be able to say, you know what? I know that I love to think that I'm the ultimate doer and that I can make things happen, but there is divine timing in all things, okay? There is a divine timing in business. There's a divine timing in relationships. There's a lot of things that we don't understand or we don't know. And because of the information age, the technology that we have today, we think that we should know everything, and we think that we should be able to snap our fingers, right? Like Thanos did in Avengers, if you're an Avengers fan, snap your fingers and change the world. And that's just not the way it happens. It's a process, right? And the more that we can trust the process, the more that we can just allow the process to be, the more fun it will be. If I could look back on the last eight months of my life, all right, I'll give you a little insight to my life in the last 8 months. A lot of changes in my relationship, a lot of changes in my business, and there was an incredible amount of overwhelm, stress, fear, suffering, pain, all these different things that came up for me in the last 8 months. And I was able to work through them. So they all served a purpose, right? And so if you're in that space of overwhelm, if you're in that space of suffering, if you're in that space of being really frustrated with your life, know that it's okay. And it's all there for a reason. But there is that part of me that looks back and goes, man, if I would have known that I would be where I'm at today, I wouldn't have worried. I wouldn't have been stressed out. I wouldn't have been overwhelmed. And so when I have moments like that, what I do is I try to integrate those moments of surrender and just allowing everything to be the way it is, because I know that everything's always going to turn out perfectly. And when you can start to see your life like that, you'll step outside of overwhelm. Doesn't mean that you'll never experience it, because again, it serves a purpose. But the cool part about it is though, overwhelm sucks. And I know a lot of you on the call probably are laughing right now because you understand overwhelm sucks. Suffering sucks. frustration, it sucks. All of it sucks, but there is a purpose to it. And I think it's there to bring about mindfulness and awareness to where we are. And then ultimately what it does is it allows us to remember and to integrate this idea of trust, trusting the universe, trusting God, trusting all things will be okay, no matter how difficult or overwhelming they can seem right now, they will ultimately get better. Everything is a testament to who we are. If you're going through something very stressful, very overwhelming right now, I want to tell you what that means is that you're being built up right now. Your strength, you're doing the reps. You're in the gym right now and you're lifting your weights and you're doing your reps right now because you're building something to strengthen your core, strengthen your mind, strengthen your heart, right? Strengthen your body, strengthen your ability to deal with people, because that means that something's great is about to happen for you. I have never met a successful person that has not had a stressful, painful, suffering moment in time in their life. Now, that's just the way it is. So if you're somebody who's going through that, what I want to offer you is that you're being shaped for something. And you know what? You don't know what it is. I have no idea what it was back when I was going through it to where I am today, recognizing, okay, I understand a little bit. I don't know why completely, but I definitely have a very good idea about why I went through what I went through. And I want to encourage you that if you're experiencing that, then there is something that's being done for you in this lifetime, in this life right now. If you're stressed out, if you're overwhelmed, if you're struggling, if you're frustrated, there is something amazing about to happen in your life. And it could be months from now, it could be days from now, it could be hours from now, okay? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you go into it with an open heart, an open mind, and really just allowing yourself to feel those experiences, do your best to remove yourself. And like I said, whenever you get overwhelmed, don't react, don't act out. That's a lot of times what happens when we get into arguments with people, or we fight with our kids, or we fight with our spouses. It's because we're in overwhelm and we lash out because we're overwhelmed. And the best thing that you can do when you're overwhelmed is go, you know what? I need to take some time for myself. I need to go do this for me. I need to go lay down and take a nap when you shouldn't be taking a nap, right? Learn from Gandhi. Gandhi said, I've got such a busy day today that I need to take 2 hours to meditate rather than my regular 1 hour, right? It's like, what are you willing to do to cultivate and allow yourself to be in the space that you are so that you can continue to move forward, right? Because it's going to happen no matter what. Whether or not you get overwhelmed, whether or not you get stressed, whether or not you get frustrated, everything is going to play out exactly the way it needs to play out. It's just that when you're in that space of overwhelm, frustration, or suffering, that means you're trying to push it and it's not ready to come out yet. It's like, goes back to that pregnancy thing. You can't force a baby. You can't give birth to a baby before it's ready to come out. We all know that, right? Only doctors step in and say, well, it should be out. So let's stimulate some, birthing right now. And it's like, no, let the baby come out as it's supposed to. And so that's the same thing in your life, in your business. Let it happen naturally. Doesn't mean that you need to stop doing your work, right? But when you start to feel the overwhelm, step back. Because if you go into your business being overwhelmed, you're going to spread overwhelm through the people that you communicate with, through the relationships that you have. So honor yourself. If you are in overwhelm, say, you know what? I know we had a call today at 1 o'clock, but I'm a little bit overwhelmed and I need to take some time. And I want to be totally, completely present with you and honor the space. Would you mind rescheduling with me? I guarantee you people are going to go, no, not at all. I want you full. I want you fully and completely, right? They're not going to go, no, I want your half-assed self, overwhelmed and frustrated. Can you please do that for me? No, they're going to say, you know what? Take some time. No big deal. Most people understand it. And the people that don't understand it, they get upset with you, probably didn't want to work with them anyways. And that's okay. So really begin to eliminate overwhelm by just kind of removing yourself from the space of it and allowing it to be, okay? And just sit with it. And I tell you what, it is one of the most difficult things you can do is to not do, right? That's an oxymoron. That's like jumbo shrimp. The most difficult thing you will ever do is to not do anything, to literally sit there. And I have a chair in my bedroom, right? A chair that I sit in, and I will sit there with no music, no phone, no nothing, and just sit there for hours at a time, allowing myself to just be in the moment and allow the thoughts to come through. And man, I tell you what, it's amazing what comes up. It's amazing how tough we are on ourselves and going, oh, you got this to do. You got to do this. You got to do that. You've got this going on. You got that going on. But the more I sit with it, the more I realize that everything is okay. You know, the fact of it is that if I died today, life would continue on. The world would not fall apart if I died today. And it won't fall apart if you do too, right? And you have to really start to understand that and allow that to be, and know that there is something divine that is happening in your life that's taking care of all of these things for you. So every once in a while, take a step back from your overwhelm and allow that divine energy to come through your space and allow it to fix things in your life. Allow it to heal things in your life. They say time heals all things, and that's because time does heal all things. Because if you can step back enough from it and you can allow the space of that, whatever is going on, it will heal it, because it will take care of it. Because life has a way of just letting things happen, and it takes care of itself, right? So again, if you want to eliminate overwhelm in your life, then just step back, enjoy yourself, and just kind of do nothing and watch what comes up. I promise you, it will be a show. So grab some, I won't say popcorn, but grab like a juice, a nice healthy juice, or a snack, like some nuts, and just sit there and enjoy the show while you sit there and watch all these thoughts happen that will ultimately take care of themselves if you let them, okay? So enjoy yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I'll be on the call tomorrow with my amazing partner and wife, Christina, for our Tuesday Level Up call at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. I want to say thank you so much for showing up for the call today. And this is Calvin Starr. I'm living to be inspired, unleashed, timeless, fit, and a whole lot of other things today. And so have a wonderful rest of the week, everybody. Talk to you soon.